You've been caught in the rant trap where I rant about whatever my commenters want me to rant about. This one comes from Crunchybagels, who says, I figured out my rant for this month. The most selfless rant of all time. Rant about my videos. I see we're feeling very humble this month, Mr. Bagels, but you're lucky that you got me in a really good mood because at the time of this recording, I just got done with my last day at my part-time job, and by the time this goes up on Sunday the 3rd, I'll be starting my full-time job on Monday the 4th, and I'll be finally making that full-time career money, and now I'll be able to work on videos without feeling guilty about not having a full-time job and career to build my future towards. That's enough about that. It's time to talk about Mr. Crunchy the Bagels YouTube videos, aka, in my opinion, one of, if not the best anti-tubers on the platform. In the sense of, you know, if you're craving that pure analytical anime video essay analysis video type, I think you can't do much better than Crunchy. If you can, you know, leave good anime YouTubers to follow in the comments, and maybe I'll check them out. But for my money, from what I've seen, Crunchy's got he's got it. You know, not to, you know, glaze him too much, because, you know, everything basically pre-Dragon Maid's flawed finale I haven't seen, and from the looks of it, I'm not really missing much, because I can't believe that I'm gonna miss out on such classic videos as a defense of Zenith, who is a YouTuber I've never heard of, who I can only assume is either Minecraft or Geometry Dash related, or the worst mob in Minecraft, which actually sounds like it would make for a decent video essay that if he made today, which he probably would find an audience because Minecraft is, you know, infinite audience generator. But that's besides the point. The way that I found Crunchy's videos is that we're both fans of Kantan from back in the day, because he was a big Digi fan, I was a big Digi and Nate fan, so that was like pretty much our favorite anime podcast type show on the platform. And I remember seeing him active in the Kantan Discord server, and I can't remember if he shared his video in the server with everyone or he linked his YouTube in his profile, and I just found it through there, just from looking at active users' Discord profiles and seeing if they have any social media accounts worth following or looking into. And I'm glad that I did, because I watched Dragon Maid's flawed finale as my first video. I actually have a fond memory of 100%ing, I want to say Spyro 3. It was either Spyro 2 or 3. I was in the grind of 100%ing it on my first ever playthrough of it, because those games are pretty easy but pretty fun. And I put it on in the background, and then as I was listening to it, I was like, you know, this video is good, but I can't help but feel like he hasn't done his due diligence and his proper research. Not to say that you need to always be cross-referencing the manga when you're making a video about an anime, but for this particular one, it was kind of an L to not look at the manga in this case, because he was talking about specifically the final episode of the season 1 of the Dragon Maid anime, which, for those in the know, was pretty much anime original. They took a chapter of the manga and extended it into an exciting finale type episode, like a season finale to an anime or a television show. Because in the manga, the same structure of events happens. The big moments where Toru's dad, the Emperor of Demise, comes to Toru and says, "Hey, you gotta go home. You can't be meddling in the affairs of the human world." But then Toru in the manga, gives him a mean look after all the things that she does to threaten Kobayashi, and the Emperor's like, "All right, listen, I know better than to fuck with you, Toru, because you are stronger than me, and I would get my cheeks clapped if we fought. But just heed my warning, daughter." Whereas in the anime, they buff him up intensely to the point where he is, at the very least, as strong as Toru, or if not flat out stronger than Toru. And her stepping up to fight him when he tries to threaten Kobayashi's life and their relationship, which I personally enjoyed the anime version much more, because it fleshed out Toru and Kobayashi's relationship. It gave Kobayashi a fucking badass character moment where, even though her life was on the line, where she almost gets shot in the face by the Toru's dad, who purposefully missed just to prove a point. Whereas in the manga, he just shoots a potted plant behind her to intimidate her, which is scary, but not nearly as cool as nearly getting shot in the face. So, but I don't want to go off on a tangent too much about Dragon Maid because that could be its own video that maybe I'll one day make. Uh, but yeah, I reached out to him about that and been like, hey, you did a good job with this video, although I feel like you should have checked out the manga, because that's why it probably felt so different and weird to you. And he's like, oh, you know what? That is a good point. Thanks for letting me know. Like, I had a feeling, but I just didn't do my research at the time. And then after that, I started to get a big fan, started to become rather a big fan of his content, thanks to the one 2.5 punch of the Lucky Star Conundrum, and then Your Name, the Never-Ending Dumpster Fire, and I Love Hate Your Name. Which, watching all three of those in a sequence, gave me the impression of, okay, here's a kid who's like figuring shit out. Like, he's figuring out his own personal tastes. He's figuring out like what he is attracted to and what he's not attracted to in media and fiction. And he's trying, put himself out there, trying to formulate his ideas into the world and be like, okay, here's my voice and why I think it's unique and why it deserves an audience of X amount of people, infinite amount of people if possible. And it was hearing a guy, try to figure out like in real time what he is trying to, find meaning for in fiction and try to be able to be good enough to convey that meaning to an audience, because he's never been shy about how he wants to be a writer. And I think he said to me on multiple occasions that if he could choose, he would much rather be a writer of novels than a YouTuber. But right now, the YouTube thing just seems more prosperous and feasible than being a writer, or maybe more of a means to an end. But I'll let him speak on that. But yeah, it was him at the end of the Lucky Star video being like, okay, here's why Lucky Star like didn't exactly vibe with me 100%, but at the same time, I feel like it should, because it's obviously good. Like, anyone who would look at Lucky Star can look at it and say that it's good. So I, Mr. Crunchybagels, am recognizing that Lucky Star is a good show. So why am I not jiving with it the way that everyone else who's watched it and like glazes it to high heaven is jiving with it? And then at the end, he makes a point of being like, okay, so here's like the thing about Lucky Star that I'm, wrap my head around. And that was the moment that I was like, okay, yeah, here's a guy that I find it exciting and interesting to follow a creator as they're in the process of like figuring out their taste. And then we even see that in real time with the Your Name duology, where he makes a half-hour video trashing Your Name, almost before it was cool. Where he's like, hey, here's all the reasons why Your Name is not that good, and I actually am not a fan of it. And then he makes the follow-up video where he's like, okay, maybe I was a little too hard on it at the time. I'm still not a big fan of it, but I understand it a little more now. So I have a slightly higher appreciation for it. To the point where we become full circle on the podcast during Shinkai month, almost 1 year ago today, being like, you know what, guys? I still have my issues with Your Name, but I've now come to the conclusion that it is, in fact, a good movie. So yeah, that's what I mean about a guy figuring out his taste. Like, he's open to changing his mind, and he's very public about it. He's public about when he wants to fuck up. Like how his most popular video before he started really getting into making anime videos was Club Step 2019 is Garbage, which is just some Geometry Dash video that I lack the context for, that got way more views than he thought it would, even though it only probably think it got like 1,000 views, to the point where he made a less than 1 minute video a year later, or maybe 2 years later, saying Club Step 2019 is garbage. Why the fuck are you watching it? I shit that out, not even thinking about it. Like, why? And so I like to imagine that little boost gave him, the idea to push himself forward. He also saw some relative success for the size of his channel at the time with his Demon Slayer video, the failure of Demon Slayer. My boy was hating Demon Slayer before he was cool. He's always ahead of the curve. Uh it was then around this point that I think he started getting burned out on making anime YouTube videos. He made a pretty good video on Mordekoi, even though he's fucking wrong about that show, and it's actually good, and he just cringe. He made a video on Tonikaku Kawaii and then Gabriel Dropout. Even though I don't remember the Gabriel Dropout video being that good, it was just more of a, hey, the show is the funny, without really diving into it that much. And then he was like, you know what? I'm done. I don't want to be doing this anime YouTube thing no more. And then that's where I came in. And when I do have him quoted on this. You can ask him yourself, and he will say this, that me getting him onto the Castaway Anime podcast and making all those podcasts and getting him back into, anime content creation influenced him to be like, you know what? I feel like I want to come back. And his current run on YouTube is, I take partial credit. So, every little bit of success can be traced back to me. So, you are welcome, Crunchybagels fans. He started getting back into the Tomazaki video, which I still haven't finished because, I applaud him for, I respect the grind of wanting to make a 3-hour Tomazaki, bottom tier character Tomazaki-kun video. I just think he didn't need 3 hours of time. A lot of the points could have been made in 2 hours because God knows we needed to hear about Crunchy's rule of I am willing to allow one coincidence per show. It's not like, almost every show in existence needs to be built on coincidence by nature. You're not I'll let When Harry Met Sally slide because of all the billions of people in the world. It was Harry meeting Sally of all people. Yeah, okay, movie. We didn't really need that. But he immediately bounced back with what I still think is his best video to date. How Monogatari influenced Call of the Night. That is a genuine, bona fide. I did all of my research. I left no stone unturned. This is a mini documentary into not just a brief look into the production of Monogatari and its directors, but how the breakdown of Shaft and its exodus led to guys like the Call of the Night director, whose name escapes me right now, I think Itamura, and that led to him making Call of the Night, which has very obvious Monogatari DNA in its directing. And I remember watching this video, be like, dude, this is something a real, not to say he's not a real one, but for lack of a better term, a real AniTuber would make. And not only is it the best in that way, it also serves as it has the best ending to any Crunchybagels video, and a fucking fire ending where he's the whole video he's talking about how Shaft used to be his favorite studio and in ways still is, but it not acknowledges that it's a shadow of its former self, and explains all the reasons as to why, and how he's saddened at the current state of affairs at Shaft, but with stuff Madoka season 3, I think, or season 2, whatever, I don't fucking know. I haven't seen Madoka yet, so I don't know the chronology of its releases, but new Madoka, and being with that on the way, because that's a big claim to fame for Shaft, and Shinbo coming back and whatnot. I was things are starting to look up for my once favorite studio, and then being oh, hey, Maji Record, what are you doing, bleeding out on the floor out of every orifice, and then goes down in detail of every failing and pitfall of modern Shaft, that they still haven't learned their lesson, and in fact maybe getting worse, and is oh, wow, that sucks, that all that hope that I had for you is you're dashing it in real time. That's a fucking banger of an ending. and that easily his best video. And then he made a series of videos after that to where it can everything post the Monogatari video is something that can be described as the Crunchybagels style. And what I love about his style of video making is that it's very indie. And what I mean by that is, obviously most every YouTuber's videos, especially the smaller ones like him, are self-produced and done by one person, but he takes it further. He uses a lot of mixed media in his editing, which I am a big fan of. The default edit that he does is his Toru smug shrug avatar over a weird orange line heart monitor looping background or any other moving background he sees fit. But he'll then throw in one of his favorite shorthands is he likes to print and cut out the characters of the anime, put them onto popsicle sticks, and either like treat them like puppets and have them like move around while he's talking about them in the video, or he'll make like a little poster or diagram of his point, and that's really entertaining to look at, full of like little jokes and Easter eggs on them. And sometimes he'll even bust out the goddamn stop motion in, I think, the Oshinoko video. I'm pretty sure it was that one. Maybe he did in the Sky Pilgrim video and I just forgot. Or even he'll bust out the goddamn AMV in his Zarigoto videos with his own original art, which the third one in the newest video that he put out on Volume 3, it was very impressive. Bro did this himself in Zony Vegas with just one guy, and he says it didn't even take him that long because he cut it short from what he wanted to do, but he was like, for the sake of time and just getting the damn thing out, I have to, compromise my vision. Like, this is a compromised vision? Like, aside from, the artwork being amateurish for, to put it bluntly, because, he's getting better, God bless him, but, drawing he's not he would not have a lot of followers on art Twitter, let's just say. But the fact that he's even doing it at all, going into Photoshop and tracing it all to get clean PNGs of them, and then putting them in for Zarigoto videos, like what a trooper. In his current run, from everything between the Monogatari Call of the Night video to now, he has improved dramatically, even from his Tomazaki video. He's gotten good at cutting down the fat on his videos, not repeating his points. If I were to give, one big criticism, and this is only pretty much exclusively for the Zarigoto videos, it's that, and I get that it's not his fault, because he's talking about novels, which only season 1 has anime footage to work with, and everything else past that has nothing but text, which he doesn't really have the ability right now to make look very interesting. But at the same time, I've told him this before, but he says he has nothing else at the time to do better. Just his speed draws of him drawing amateurish renditions of the Zarigoto cast is not the most interesting thing to look at visually. In his defense, there's not really much you can replace it with. At first, I was gonna say, oh, surely there had to have been like a Monogatari video game or something, maybe even a visual novel released at some point. To my surprise, every bit, like the only video game related things related about Monogatari that are out are, I think, Japanese exclusive visual novels on like web browsers or mobile phone applications, or like Monogatari themed puzzle games, like puzzle games that just had the Monogatari characters inserted them as a skin, are defunct and no longer available to access. So he doesn't really have, the shorthand of just put related gameplay footage of it over, like how one may, just pulling it off the dome. Not saying everyone does this, but like if you're talking about Naruto, you could put like Clash of the Ninja or what's the fucking Ninja Storm? Yeah, the Ninja Storm games over footage if you want, as like B-roll footage if you wanted to. But like I get that he can't draw. The best suggestion I had to him to fix it was to either get some gameplay footage of like Nisio Isin related material, like get the footage of Madaka fighting in J-Stars and put that over it, or hell, he put Minecraft footage of his pixel recreations of the characters. I would say, make some Zarigoto recreation. Make some Zarigoto fan art in Minecraft. That's more visually entertaining to look at in creative mode than a camera positioned over a piece of paper drawing and coloring a amateurish looking Zarigoto character. I guess it lends to the feeling of this niche thing from this this niche part of a famous author's history is being represented pretty much almost exclusively by this one guy actively on the entirety of YouTube, and seeing him have these characters on here makes me feel appreciated. Like, the fact that he's doing this Zarigoto marathon at all is commendable when he's trying to get big, because at the time of this recording, his V3 video is easily the worst performing video of his entire modern run, if we want to consider everything between the Monogatari Call of the Night video and now. It hasn't even broken 750 views yet, not even like 750 views. Whereas even his old Zarigoto video is one of the most popular videos on his channel. It's the 5th best. And then the Strangulation video is it's like surprisingly well with nearly 3,000 views, which is more than his Suzume video got, which is a popular movie by one of the biggest anime directors alive currently. Even in spite of that, the 3rd volume just did not hit the same way. Maybe it's because he used a custom art thumbnail, but what can you really do? You can't really make a compelling thumbnail for a... Well, maybe that's not true. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass there, but what do I know? I don't know much about Zarigoto. Maybe the title is kind of cringe. Yeah, maybe... Actually, you know what? The title is kind of bad now that I think about it, because I think it's the only one that doesn't acknowledge what volume it's on. I feel like I should probably tell him this after this recording, but maybe add volume 3 after the word Zarigoto, because you can't really tell that this is a suspension video. It just looks like it could be a Zarigoto video that if you only knew the context of what's going on in the thumbnail, you could piece together that is volume 3, but yeah, I suppose you could just as easily think that it's regarding the entire series. He just didn't make it as marketable as he could. And the fact that he's even doing it at all when Zarigoto is easily the least profitable venture he could pursue on his channel right now, when he wants to get big, I commend him for continuing to do it, but if I were him, I would probably delay these videos, the Zarigoto ones, because they easily take the longest to make on his channel. He has said so repeatedly that he's had to... his most deadlines missed record goes to the Zarigoto videos, because most of them, he has to draw for all those pictures for them, he has to make the AMV, he has to get a whole bunch of stuff. A lot of legwork that he has to do himself that he can't fall back on anime footage B-roll, so he has to put in some extra legwork. I would say space those videos out, make them a yearly thing, because if you want to get big, I would say make it a January video, because, fuck you, it's January, historically reported to be the least profitable month for YouTubers of the year, so relegate the niche stuff to that and focus the rest of the year on doing, more contemporary pieces. And not to, I don't want to discourage him from pursuing niche things. I've been telling him that not to be afraid to branch out of anime if given the opportunity. I bet if he already has ties to the Geometry Dash community. I bet if he made a Geometry Dash video, as long as he put as much effort into it as he did his anime videos, it would probably do well. Or maybe even Minecraft. He's still passionate about Minecraft. I just don't want him to be afraid to pursue different avenues, because you don't want to end up a one-trick pony. This is going on longer than I thought it would, but I'll just say that the last thing that I like about his content is that he is very clearly modeling himself after Digibro, and he wants to make content like Digi did back in the day, even down to just flat out copying his Patreon rant system, which, hey, I appreciate as a fan of Digi back when he was at his peak. I appreciate it's a nice deep dive into a creator's mindset and a way to engage with fans without needing to divulge too much of your like personal life. Not that he's afraid to do that, but if you want to ask him, hey, Crunchy, what do you feel about this album or this aspect of media or like this aspect of the world? Like, what do you think of it? What do you think of hot temperatures versus cold temperatures? And why are you so wrong? And that cold is way worse than hot. There's stuff like that. And but God bless him too. He, for a channel of his size, his Patreon's doing numbers. I think last I checked, he's making $80 a month, which is mad impressive for someone of his size. And I mean, don't tell him I said this. Like, he's not watching this right now. But I feel like without the Onimai video, not to say that this is like a grand revelation or anything, but the Onimai video did do him numbers, and I know he'll always be grateful for that. But I feel like in actuality, his channel like reach is about the reach of one with like 2,500 to 3,000 subscribers, as opposed to the 6,250 that he currently has. A lot of that I feel is partially due to Onimai inflation, which is my favorite thing to look up on Google Images. But I think his content bangs. I know most everyone in his server also agrees that his content bangs. And if you're watching this and you're somehow not seeing Crunchy's content, go check him out. I think he's one of the best channels on YouTube, at the very least, when it comes to anime content. If you have any, other suggestions for good anime content creators, leave them in the comments below. Because I'd love to expand my horizons past Crunchy and a few select others, mainly guys who have been on the podcast before. So I hope you enjoyed your near half hour of dick sucking, Crunchy. I'll be sure to resume. I'll have to double calling you a femboy and gay and a groomer and all the other sorts of allegations in your Discord server and on the podcast to compensate. Bye.